Well, here we are. We are out on the bike trail because yesterday we filmed the When Henry Met Henry short film. And after yesterday, I was so burned out, overstimulated, tired, a bit sunburned. So I didn't want to do any sort of video to talk more in depth about the day. So here I am the next day, afternoon, and I was doing it on my webcam at home, and the thing shut off after about 7 minutes. I was so mad. I'm surprised I didn't break my webcam. I slam dunked it. So I decided rather than do that again, I would make it a little more immersive, where we'd be outside with animals yelling, so I could describe the day. Now, where I'm walking to right now, I'm going to the future bike trail extension, but I also wanted some fall colors. So for those that don't know, When Henry Met Henry, it's a short film. It's going to end up being something like 5 to 8 minutes long. And the idea for the When Henry Met Henry film came from the mind of my friend producer Frank Durant. It's a fictional meeting between author Henry Beston and other famed author Henry David Thoreau. And because Frank brought me aboard with the Lady of the Dunes documentary and, the book I wrote, and then other projects we've worked on, including the Cape Cod Cthulhu film, which was my acting debut. We did it back in March. The film should be available for streaming next month, November. But with all that, knowing how much Frank wanted to do this When Henry Met Henry film, I decided it was a chance to kind of do a solid for him. So I put together the fundraiser for it. We raised $1,700 to do this film, which meant we could pay for cast and crew. I did location scouting. I found a great place out in Wellfleet. And so yesterday was the day that we went out to film. And it was early morning. I woke up at 5:30, left the house by 7. It was good because the Wellfleet Oyster Fest was the same weekend. It's probably still going on or finishing up as we speak. But we got there early enough to the beach parking lot. Thank you, Blue Jay. Glad to hear you too. We got there early enough so that we avoided the traffic, because you can get upwards of 20,000 people at least there for the whole weekend. So we figured it would be most of the day we'd be filming. So I was initially going to be the director of this film, and man, am I glad that I was not. And we'll get to that. But I ended up doing several things. I was kind of like a Swiss Army knife, not to pat myself on the back. My first job was to stop at Dunkin' Donuts on the way up there and get coffee for the cast and crew. And they say you never get a second chance to make a first impression. So my first impression, it was busy. Now I'm going to cut myself some slack because of the Oyster Fest. But what ended up happening was I ordered a box of coffee, the Box O Joe. And I was in such a hurry because Frank was already at the parking lot that I forgot to get cups with the box of coffee. I didn't know it until we walked. So the location that I scouted to shoot was just under half a mile from the parking lot. So it wasn't until we got out to the shooting location with half the crew and they said, "Hey, where's the cups for this?" And I said, "Oh, I forgot them." Luckily, most of them had their own cups, so it wasn't a big deal. But still, there's your first impression. This guy, oh, I'm producer or wannabe director or whatever I'm supposed to be. And I can't remember to bring cups for the film, for the coffee. Yeah. It ended up being a really good experience. It was cool in the morning, mid 40s. So I was dressed in a thicker hoodie, I had to be kind of the liaison to go back and meet people that were showing up at the parking lot and bring them back to where we were shooting. So everyone walked up and back once. Me, I walked up and back 3 times. And it's not a big deal, except if you're carrying, equipment and such. So what ended up happening was, the reason I'm glad I wasn't director is because Frank actually got in a car accident on his way out to Wellfleet. Some idiot went right through a stop sign, hit him. It wasn't bad, but it was enough that he had to not be there for the shoot. He had to leave early. So if he had said to me, you're directing, but I gotta leave, we'd have been screwed. I had no idea what I was doing. What ended up happening was I was more like I said, Swiss Army knife, but I did sound, which I'd never done, obviously. Luckily, Brandon was our director. He did an excellent job. I was just asking him questions, saying, tell me what I can do to make this easier, to make it flow better, anything I can do. It was mainly just sound. And we had 3 actors. We had Will, who played Henry David Thoreau, Mike, who played Henry Beston, and Patrick, who was a late-minute replacement, who played Thoreau's friend Channing. And they're all seasoned actors. So they're, kind of joking around, but then they would run their lines and they'd be excellent. And Brandon's joking around, but then when the time came, he did an excellent job directing. And there's me, I'm total newbie. I'm just trying to not screw things up with the memories of not bringing cups for coffee fresh in my mind. So we would do the scenes. We had the little clapper. We would do the scenes a few times. Even if they were done well, Brandon would want shots from different angles, just so that we could get some good cuts if need be. And so I was just there with sound, trying to make sure that I could hear it through the headphones. And he would ask me, sound, everything sounds good? I'm pretty sure it did, but it's going to be when he's editing. I'll know if I suddenly get an email with, what the hell's wrong with the sound, you idiot? So it took us, I would say, 3.5 hours to film the whole thing. Like I said, it's 5 to 8 minutes maybe. It's a short film, and we mean short. But Brandon was so happy with everything. The layout was great. The scenery was great. And so he's already thinking, because he's going to end up editing it, which means I got to send him another check, because our original editor, I don't know if something fell through with that. That's how I ended up at sound, was that the person that was going to do sound couldn't make it. And they were like, you're doing sound. And I'm like, what the? I don't know what I'm doing. And they're like, it doesn't matter. Just listen to us and it'll be all right. Oh yeah, and if you couldn't tell, I'm on the bike trail extension here. They have paved it, but it will likely not be ready for, opening for probably a year. I'm hoping maybe next spring. We'll see. Anyway, back to the story. I'm doing this with my selfie stick. So if you see me fidgeting a little bit, it's because it's like my forearm trying to hold this with me in frame. It's starting to get tired. Getting old is real fun. So anyway, editing. Brandon's editing it, and he likes it so much already that he's talking about film festivals, maybe entering it. I know that the Provincetown Film Festival has a late deadline of second week of February. So if he can get it edited fast enough, which I would think he could, I said if he's serious about wanting to enter it in the film festival, I'll front the money for it. Because, all these people put up money donating to the When Henry Met Henry GoFundMe. So it's like another way to show them that their money went to a worthy cause. If we enter it in a film festival and if it won something, that would be awesome. It ended up being a really fun day, fun experience. There were a lot of times we were just kind of joking around where, especially Mike and Will, they would break into different accents. They were running lines from like Back to the Future or doing like Christopher Walken impressions. It helped put me at ease because I was nervous. I'm like, all these people donated money to this project. And if I don't give my best, or at least, do a semi-decent job, people are going to think, wow, we wasted our money on this idiot. And that comes to my own imposter syndrome with everything I do. I'll be thinking it about this video, like, oh, I could have done it better. So now what comes up next is, depending on when this video goes up, this next weekend from this moment, I'm going to be meeting with another film director. There is a chance that we might work something out where we do a project in the future based on one of my short stories I wrote a long time ago called The Cabin. And that's where I'm just hoping that every experience I learn a little more so that I can someday maybe do something like this where I'm on my own. So we'll see. It's one of those things that I'm excited, I'm cautiously optimistic about this possible cabin project. But it's also, the more that I do, the more I learn, the more there are expectations, obligations when it comes to these projects. Like if this comes to fruition, I'm gonna have to find locations. I'm gonna have to raise money again. I'll be at least partially in charge of finding people to be in the film. But that's what I want. My goal has been for a long time to be in some sort of a creative field or many creative fields. And this is just another step. When Henry Met Henry has been a really fun experience, and it's not done yet. When the film is edited and done, then we'll see about film festivals. Then we'll see about where people might be able to see it or who gets ownership of it, and then what doors that might open. Like Frank always says that to me, and I have the same mindset. It's not so much this current project, it's what doors that project might open. It leads us to where we're never fully satisfied and we're always looking towards what's next. But I feel that's the best way to be. If you don't have something else in mind as the future goes, then you might get stuck. So that's about it. I didn't want this to be a super long video. I wanted it to be somewhere in the 15-minute range to give you some behind the scenes as far as how this project has gone. I mean, I think it went well. You can ask Brandon or Will or Mike or Patrick or Frank. I mean, I think everyone's going to be happy with it. And hopefully we'll get to work together again on something. And I hope you've enjoyed. Even though I've been out walking the scenes, I have still spliced in some photos, videos from the shoot, as much as I could share, because I don't have access to all the stuff that Brandon filmed. Not that I would want to spoil things too much. But there we are. The kind of behind the scenes of When Henry Met Henry, spliced in with scenes of fall on Cape Cod and the bike trail extension that is not done, but I'm still out here anyway. So thank you to everybody who donated to the fundraiser. I hope when you see it that it makes you feel like you spent your money wisely. Thank you so much to Brandon for directing and probably editing, and an excellent job. And I'm glad I got to learn some stuff about blocking and directing and sound and all the stuff I learned about location scouting and just being kind of the liaison to the talent and, the fundraising. That might come in handy in the future. Thank you so much to Will, Mike, Patrick for being excellent actors. I enjoyed watching you guys do your stuff. Biggest thank you goes to Frank. because this was his idea. So even though he couldn't be there because he had to deal with the idiot that hit his car, if it wasn't for him, we wouldn't have made this. It's his idea. So I hope we did right by him, and I'll keep you all updated. If something comes up with a film festival, or if I get news about, the cabin possibly being made into a film, I will let you know. And obviously keep following me, YouTube, all over social media. Listen to the podcast, In My Footsteps podcast, because I'll be updating there as well. But until next time, I'm going to do some more walking without straining my forearms holding the selfie stick. So thanks for listening, watching, and I'll be back sometime soon.